Now, if we were to put some percentages up here, if we were to put some styles of tests up here or styles of assessments up here, you'll notice I use test instead of assessment right there, because as teachers, we'll use these words somewhat carelessly, and we will use test when I mean assessment, or assessment when we're talking about a summative test. These are all things that as educators we're not as consistent as we should be with, but what's most important is that you understand what you're doing and your intention in a given class, regardless of what you call it. So, if I were to put some percentages on this, I would say your progress monitoring, your formative assessment needs to be 90% of what you do, with summative assessment being 10%. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying that's the grade breakdown. I'm saying of all the activities that you do, all of the things that you have students do, all the learning components, 9 out of 10 of them need to be based on moving students forward and growing. Only 1 or 2 summative needs to happen for any given topic. Let me show you what I mean. If I give a student some sort of video like this to watch, well, you've already had this in your class that you're doing right now in this course. Because the first thing we did was we checked your progress by having you in the very first set of modules tell us a little bit about yourself. And it was very basic. It was not required to be highly technical. It was not required or judged to be on a bunch of criteria. Simply record something about yourself. That was a great place to start. That wouldn't be a great place to end if that's all you could do, but it is a great place to start. Then as we move forward, we had various discussion components for every module. You'll notice there was no right or wrong answer to those. You simply had to complete them. And the goal of completing those is for me to read through them, or whoever is monitoring the class to read through them and look and say, oh, that's a really good point. I see that this person is following along with the content. I see that this person has something to add to the discussion, and their classmates have responded to that, and growth is occurring, not just for that student, but for all the students in the class. And that is a great element of formative assessment that we need to be thinking about. That formative assessment does not have to be individual. Formative assessment, ideally, is not just going to help that individual, not just communicate to the teacher, but also help others in the class to grow along with. Because in the end, education is a group activity. If the group is you and I, or if the group is you, I, and our other classmates, it's still a group activity. So we did a basic project or demonstration. We did discussions. We've also done a quiz. In Canvas, you can set up quizzes. You'll also notice within that quiz, I gave 3 types of question. I gave multiple choice, I gave true and false, and I gave fill in the blank or numerical answer. Those are by far not the only ways that you can quiz students. You'll also notice I even gave the answer in one of those quizzes, in one of those questions, because the quiz was not intended to measure, do you understand fully the content? It was measuring, did they go through the content? Did they ingest the content? Are they reflecting on the content? Likewise, we've had a number of reflective writing pieces in this course where you were to write 1 paragraph, a few sentences, 2 paragraphs about a particular topic. In that case, I wasn't grading it right or wrong. What I'm looking for is growth. And just like that pulse oximeter, if you're in this range that is expected for where you should be in that part of the course, then we're good. If, on the other hand, we're not seeing kind of the reflection or kind of the understanding that we would expect, well then that's the opportunity for me as the instructor to give feedback. It's a great opportunity for me to say, hey, what about this? Have you thought in this way? What would you think if I asked you this? And those types of questions are great formative questions because the goal is to get data, reflect on that data, respond to that data, and move the student forward. Additionally, we can also think about assessment in well more terms than multiple choice or true and false questions. There's beyond that in Canvas a lot of different ways you can ask quiz questions in Canvas, but also you can do exactly what we've done in this course. I'm asking you on a regular basis to give me a product. I want you to record a video, a short video of you speaking publicly as you would to a class. Then we have you record a short video of you speaking just as you would on a digital environment in a Zoom or on a video. Additionally, we start talking about making products or making an artifact that shows your understanding. A lot of times this applies really well in the CTE areas because a test is not going to tell you whether a student can weld. A test on a piece of paper is not going to tell you whether they can fix whatever piece of auto body or auto mechanics that you're needing them to fix. The best way to tell is look at their work. And so you wouldn't expect someone at this stage of the game to be able to do end-level work. You would expect that work to start here and improve and improve and improve and improve. So with that in mind, let's just keep in mind that what we need to understand is that we have formative assessment that is progress monitoring, that is meant for growth, that is meant for students to move them along this path toward being a specialist. It's not until we get over here that we get to summative assessment where we're thinking traditional paper tests. We're thinking about can they do or can they not do whatever it is we're asking them to do. That does bring us to a final point before we take off, and that is, in the summative assessment, it doesn't have to be pencil and paper. Much like our welding or auto body test, can the student demonstrate the skills that are needed to do whatever task or whatever topic that we've asked them to do? Look at their product and determine this student has mastered and moved from student, at least on their way to being a specialist. And so that's something we need to think about in the academic world.